10 strange things about Norway that you may not know. And number 7 is something you probably wouldn't believe unless you lived there.
Number 1. Babies sleeping outside in freezing temperatures. In Norway, it's surprisingly common to see babies sleeping outdoors even during winter, when temperatures drop below freezing. To many foreigners, this practice seems dangerous or even irresponsible. But in Norwegian culture, it's considered healthy, safe, and beneficial for a child's development. The belief is rooted in science and tradition. Cold, fresh air is thought to improve sleep quality, strengthen the immune system, and reduce the spread of indoor germs. Norwegian parents carefully dress babies in insulated clothing, wool layers, and thermal sleeping bags specifically designed for extreme cold. Strollers are often left outside cafes, restaurants, and homes while parents go inside. Crime rates are low, and there is a strong culture of trust. This level of social safety allows such practices to exist without fear. Pediatric studies in Scandinavia suggest that babies who sleep outdoors tend to nap longer and wake up calmer. While this concept shocks visitors, in Norway it represents confidence in nature, community trust, and resilience from an early age. To Norwegians, keeping babies indoors all the time feels unnatural. Fresh air is not seen as a risk, it's seen as a necessity.
Number 2. Norwegian prisons feel more like college dorms. Norway's prison system is often described as one of the most shocking in the world, not because of violence, but because of how humane it is. Unlike traditional prisons focused on punishment, Norwegian prisons are designed around rehabilitation and reintegration into society. Inmates often live in private rooms with beds, desks, windows, and sometimes even televisions. They cook their own meals, attend school, work jobs, and participate in therapy programs. Guards are trained to interact respectfully with prisoners, often without visible weapons, creating a calm and controlled environment. The philosophy is simple: people who are treated like humans are more likely to act like humans. Instead of isolating inmates from society, Norway prepares them to re-enter it. This approach has produced remarkable results. Norway has one of the lowest reoffending rates in the world. To outsiders, this system feels unfair or too soft. Many ask, why reward criminals? But Norwegians argue that the goal isn't revenge, it's public safety. A person who leaves prison educated, stable, and supported is far less likely to commit another crime. In Norway, prison is about losing freedom, not dignity. Number 3. No curtains, no shame, the Norwegian privacy paradox. One of the most unsettling cultural shocks for foreigners in Norway is the absence of curtains. In many Norwegian homes, especially in suburban and rural areas, windows are left completely uncovered, even at night. To visitors, this feels like an invasion of privacy. To Norwegians, it represents trust, transparency, and social comfort. The cultural logic is simple: if you are doing nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide. Curtains are often associated with secrecy or suspicion. Historically, this mindset developed in small communities where everyone knew each other, and privacy meant respect rather than isolation. Norwegians strongly respect personal space, but not visual barriers. People avoid staring into windows, even when they can see inside clearly. Looking is considered rude, not the openness itself. This creates an unspoken social contract: visibility without intrusion. This habit also connects deeply to light. Norway experiences long, dark winters, and natural daylight is precious. Blocking windows feels unnatural. Homes are designed to invite light, warmth, and openness. To outsiders, the lack of curtains feels exposed and uncomfortable. But in Norway, it reflects a society built on trust, honesty, and quiet mutual respect, where privacy is protected socially, not physically. Number 4. Alcohol in Norway is shockingly expensive. For many foreigners, one of the first shocks in Norway happens at the supermarket, or more precisely, when they realize they can't buy strong alcohol there at all. In Norway, alcohol is tightly regulated by the government, and prices are intentionally high. A single beer can cost as much as a full meal in other countries. This system exists for public health reasons. Norway has a long history of alcohol-related social problems, and strict control is seen as a way to reduce abuse. strong alcohol is sold only in state-owned stores called Vinmonopolet, which operate with limited hours and no advertising. High taxes are designed to discourage excessive drinking rather than generate profit. As a result, many Norwegians drink less frequently but more intentionally. Social drinking is often reserved for weekends or special occasions. Because of these prices, it's common for Norwegians to travel abroad, especially to Sweden or Denmark, just to buy alcohol. This practice is so widespread it has its own cultural identity. To outsiders, the system feels extreme and restrictive. To Norwegians, it's simply part of a broader philosophy: health, safety, and social responsibility come before personal convenience. Number 5. You can walk almost anywhere. Norway's right to roam. In Norway, nature does not belong to corporations, landowners, or the government alone, it belongs to everyone. This philosophy is protected by a powerful law called allemannsretten, translated as the right to roam. It allows anyone to walk, hike, camp, ski, or explore vast areas of land, even if that land is privately owned. As long as people respect nature, avoid disturbing homes, and leave no trace, they are legally allowed to enjoy the outdoors. This law has existed in Nordic culture for centuries and reflects a deep-rooted belief that nature is a shared resource, not a luxury. You can pitch a tent almost anywhere for up to 2 nights, pick wild berries and mushrooms, and hike freely across forests, mountains, and coastlines. In many countries, this would be illegal. In Norway, it's a fundamental right taught from childhood. This freedom creates a strong bond between people and the environment. Norwegians grow up understanding responsibility, respect, and balance with nature. Abuse of this right is socially unacceptable. To outsiders, this law feels unreal, even dangerous. But in Norway, trust in people and respect for nature are inseparable. Number 6. Awkward silence is completely normal in Norway. In many cultures, silence feels uncomfortable, something that must be filled with small talk, jokes, or polite conversation. In Norway, silence is not awkward. It is natural, respected, and often preferred. This cultural trait surprises and sometimes deeply unsettles visitors from more talkative societies. Norwegians generally avoid unnecessary conversation, especially with strangers. Talking without purpose can feel intrusive. Silence, on the other hand, is seen as a sign of comfort and mutual respect. You can sit next to someone on public transport for an entire journey without exchanging a single word and no one feels offended. This behavior is rooted in cultural values such as independence, emotional restraint, and respect for personal space. Norwegians don't expect constant verbal affirmation. Relationships are built slowly, through actions rather than words. Once trust is established, Norwegians can be warm, loyal, and deeply connected. But they rarely rush emotional intimacy. Silence becomes a shared space, not a barrier. To outsiders, this quietness can feel cold or distant. In reality, it reflects emotional maturity and respect. In Norway, silence isn't emptiness, it's peace. Number 7. In parts of Norway, the sun never sets or rises. In northern Norway, reality works differently. For weeks, sometimes months, the sun behaves in ways that feel impossible. During summer, the sun never sets. It circles the sky endlessly, bathing the land in constant daylight. This phenomenon is known as the midnight sun. In winter, the opposite happens. The sun never rises, plunging the region into near total darkness, known as the polar night. This extreme light cycle has a profound psychological and biological impact. Sleep patterns are disrupted. People lose track of time. Some feel energized and euphoric during endless daylight, while others struggle with anxiety, insomnia, and exhaustion. During the dark months, mental health becomes a serious concern. Seasonal depression is common, and communities rely heavily on artificial light, routines, and social connection to cope. Vitamin D supplements are part of daily life. Children go to school in darkness. Adults commute without ever seeing the sun. And yet, life continues normally. To outsiders, this sounds unbearable. But Norwegians adapt. They don't fight nature, they adjust to it. Light and darkness are not enemies. They are forces to be respected. In northern Norway, the sun doesn't just rise and set. It shapes the human mind. Number 8. Losing your job isn't a disaster in Norway. In many countries, losing a job means fear, instability, and sometimes complete financial collapse. In Norway, the experience is fundamentally different. While losing a job is never pleasant, it rarely feels like the end of everything. This is because Norway has one of the strongest social welfare systems in the world. Unemployment benefits are designed to provide real security, not just survival. Healthcare remains fully accessible. Education and retraining programs are widely available. People are encouraged to find meaningful work rather than accept the first available option out of desperation. This safety net changes how people live and think. Norwegians are less likely to stay in toxic jobs, more willing to change careers, and less fearful of taking professional risks. Stress levels related to employment are significantly lower compared to many other countries. Critics argue that such a system reduces motivation. Supporters respond that it creates stability, trust, and long-term productivity. Instead of working out of fear, people work out of purpose. To outsiders, this model seems unrealistic or too generous. But in Norway, it reflects a collective belief: society functions better when people are protected from total collapse. Losing a job is seen as a temporary setback, not a personal failure. Number 9. In Norway, shoes always stay outside. In Norway, entering a home with your shoes on is considered deeply disrespectful. This rule is so ingrained that it is rarely explained, it is simply expected. Visitors who forget are often stopped at the door, sometimes awkwardly, but always firmly. The reason goes far beyond cleanliness. Norway's climate brings snow, rain, mud, and grit for much of the year. Shoes carry dirt, bacteria, and moisture that would quickly damage wooden floors and carpets. Over time, removing shoes became a symbol of respect, not just for the home, but for the people living inside it. Norwegian homes are seen as private sanctuaries. Leaving your shoes at the door signals that you are entering a safe, clean space and that you are willing to adapt to the household's rules. It's an act of humility and trust. Most homes provide slippers or expect guests to walk in socks. The moment shoes come off, the atmosphere changes, it becomes informal and relaxed. To outsiders, this may feel uncomfortable or overly strict. To Norwegians, it's common sense. Shoes belong to the outside world. Home is something else entirely. Number 10. In Norway, nature comes before everything. In Norway, nature is not a hobby, a vacation, or a background. It is a priority, often more important than work, money, or social obligations. Norwegians will cancel plans, leave cities, and even take unpaid time off simply to be in the mountains, forests, or by the sea. This mindset is deeply connected to the concept of friluftsliv, which translates roughly to open-air living. It represents a philosophy of life centered around simplicity, balance, and connection with the natural world. Being outside is not about achievement or adrenaline. It's about mental clarity and emotional reset. From childhood, Norwegians are taught that nature is essential for well-being. Schools organize outdoor classes. Families hike in all weather conditions. Solitude in nature is encouraged, not feared. This relationship also explains why silence, trust, and resilience are so deeply rooted in Norwegian culture. Nature shapes how people think, cope, and recover from stress. To outsiders, it may seem excessive or impractical. But in Norway, ignoring nature feels unnatural. When life becomes overwhelming, the solution is simple: go outside. Nature is not an escape. It is home. Norway doesn't fight nature. It listens to it, and maybe that's what makes this country feel so different. Subscribe to Stranger Things Earth, where the world reveals its strangest truths.